Have you ever heard the saying, there's no such thing as a free puppy? Never heard that? Has anyone ever gotten a free puppy before, or kitten? Was it really free? It's a trick question. It's not a trick question, but it is. It may have been free, but it cost you something. There's vet bills. There's food. There's house training, potty breaking, whatever you call it, potty training, not potty, one's for kids, one for dogs, but house training, okay. To me, they just kind of all mesh together. I house broke my kids and potty trained the dogs. I don't know. But, I just kind of get it all confused. But there's no such thing as a free puppy because there's a big commitment that's involved in it, and anyone ever tells you, oh, no, it's free, and that happened to us. I mean, we, and 11 years later, we've gone through it, the vet bills and all the things, best dog ever had, but it wasn't free. It really was not free. It has cost money over the years. Kitten's the same thing. In fact, I made this really super smart, that was sarcastic, decision right after we got married. Shortly after we got married, we had a condo that we had moved into, and which means that we weren't in a house, so we were like people, neighbors, and the whole kind of thing connected. And I've always wanted a parrot. And I just said, this would be great, it's like, we're on our own, you don't have your parents to tell you can't do that, you can't do my house, all that kind of stuff like that, so we get in there, and I'm like, oh, we should get this parrot. I don't know how, I have no idea how I talked Leslie into doing this, but somehow or another, I guess I caught her at a weak moment, because she was really good at that. Like, she gave me a $5 a week allowance. No, I'm kidding, it wasn't that bad, but she was really good on, like, keeping everything, tabs on everything, which is good. So she trained me right. It took me a while, but so now I'm good now. But back then I was just like, oh, we're married free, kind of thing, and so anyways, but we bought this bird. It was like a rescue bird, which came with a whole nother issues and stuff like that, and it was a Moroccan cockatoo, and they're about like this big. They live 70 years, so this is a commitment. Okay, like people put these birds in their wills because they outlive their owners. Okay? You got to find another, if I can use the terminology, sucker to take the bird, okay? That's willing to say, I'll take the bird, because literally, and that bird, it was a beautiful bird, great. I was like, oh, but the problem is I didn't understand the commitment that came with the bird, okay? And so this bird was one of these things that those kind of birds love attention. I mean, if you've ever had one, and I'm not talking about the little cockatiels. That's actually what we have now. A low maintenance bird, but the cockatoos are very high maintenance, and so anyways, this bird literally would sit on top of the cage and scream, like flapping its wings, screaming, like ear-piercing screaming, till our neighbors thought that people were dying. They're like, what's happening over there? Literally like screeching, screaming. And for you to pick the bird, so you pick him up, and then he'd lay back, and what do you want? He'd pull his belly, want you to scratch his stomach. And you sit there, and you'd hold me, scratch his belly, scratch his head, his eyes are rolling around. It was like a baby, literally like a baby. Like, he loved to just be laying all day. He would love to lay in your arms, just so you could just scratch the bird. That's all you wanted to do, just play with it. And you put him back, and he's like, screaming, feathers. And so what do any newlyweds do when they have things they can't take care of or don't have room? You take it back to your mother's house, your mom's house. So I took the bird to my mom's house because we couldn't stay in the condo. It was either the bird or us leaving the condo. So she got the bird for a year, and then she's finally like, Fred, I love the bird. Get rid of the bird. So I had to go sell the bird and try to get some money back on that thing. But anyways, there was a lot of commitment to that. Commitment is one of those words that I think nowadays we just kind of throw around, and it's sometimes has a negative connotation to people. They talk about being committed to something, and they think, so we think, say, well, you're committed to your wireless bill, right? Until you can get a better offer, or your cable bill, until another company can buy you out, whatever kind of scenario. And we think of things like that. But what about the commitment to, if you're married, commitment to your marriage? How does that look? When we talk about a commitment to our marriage, how do you look at that? Some people look at it as, well, it's like a ball and chain. I just have no freedom. Well, if you look at it that way, it's never going to be that. It's never going to be anything good if that's my attitude toward it. Do I look at the value? Do I look at the commitment of it? Promises that we make. Are we committed to the promises that we give, that we say? Are we committed to doing the best that we can to take care of this body? And people say, well, I want to change my health. I want to get better. Well, then you got to be committed to it. Oh yeah, I can be committed. We're committed for a week, and then listen, I've been there too. It's like. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, get right in there, and then it lasts a few times, and you're like, until you are tired, and you skip one time, and then all of a sudden you're back where you were before. Amen? I've been there. And so commitment, what is commitment? And then we bring it to the other part, saying, okay, we're committed to following Jesus. What does that really translate to? How do we really translate our commitment to Christ as our commitment to our health, our commitment to keeping our finances in order, or our commitment to our promises, or the things that we say we value? I mean, how do we do? Is it the same definition for all of those things, or do we just come back and say, this is what my value of commitment is, and no matter what I do, I'm committed to doing this. This is what I commit. And my dad was really big on teaching us that value as kids growing up. The understanding was that if you say yes to something, and if you commit, give your word to do something, you better do it. He was really big on that. That was how he was raised. And even though it was a pain then, I'm thankful for that. Because it instilled within me a value of what it means to be committed. And commitment is not just when it's all going easy. And a lot of times we define commitment as long as it's good, as long as it's nice, as long as it's not inconveniencing me, I'm committed to it. Well, that's not commitment. I don't even know what the word. There's probably some other words for that, but that's not even commitment, really. Part-time commitment? Is there such a thing as part-time commitment? Would you stand up in a wedding ceremony and say, yes, I vow to be part-time committed to you? I don't think the marriage would go on, right? I mean, I would be like, wait, we need to have a little conference in the back. Guys, just talk amongst yourselves. We're going to have a conversation back behind the stage, okay, about what our vows are and commitments on whether this wedding's going forward or not. Because you don't want to go into something that's a half commitment. In fact, to be honest with you, I knew a couple that was exactly the case. It was a friend of my wife's and one of her friends, and they got married. I remember talking to them, and I was like, oh, congratulations. She goes, yeah, we're so excited, and so we're just gonna give it our best try. I mean, I wasn't maybe the exact wording they were using, but it was like the best try, or we're gonna give it a shot, or something like that, and they tried it for a year, and then they changed their mind. Literally, I don't even know if they made it a year, to be honest with you. And I remember thinking in my head, and as a pastor, you never want to sit there and think, oh, this isn't going to last. Because you do what you do to hope that people are going to stay married and be committed in the long haul. But I just knew, you just knew this was going to be just a temporary try. Because the moment that it started getting rough, they didn't want to try anymore. And listen, if you've gone through divorce, I'm not putting that as a negative, because I've sat down, I've talked with people. I mean, they have done everything on the face of this planet, it seems like, to try to make it work, but the people, it was just a nightmare. Okay, so listen, I understand this. This is not a guilt. We're not throwing guilt here. I'm just saying you wouldn't go into a marriage saying, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I'm going to follow Jesus. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Jesus, I'm half committed to you. So half commitment is really not commitment at all. So we really have to define what commitment means to us. How do we see commitment? A commitment involves dedicating yourself to something, to whether it's a person or whether it's a cause, but it's I'm dedicating myself to this. And I know my dad had instilled in my head, if you say you're going to do it, you need to be there. And he was very big on the punctuality, and I'm pretty much the same way. If I say I'm going to be there, man, I will do everything possible I can to be there on time, and earlier, actually. Because I understand the value of commitment. I did that to one of my kids the other day. They had an appointment to get their hair cut, fixed, whatever. And I said, you need to move it. Your appointment's just like right around oh, no, and I'll be there. I said, you're going to be late. You need to go. Oh, that's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. I said, because what you don't understand is that you're going to create a ripple effect. Because you show up late because you don't value the commitment. You said you committed that you would be there at that time. And unless there's like floodwaters, tornado, hurricane, tragedy, or death, you said you're going to be there. Amen? This is my concept of the level of commitment that we should be. Because I feel that we have to be people of integrity. The Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you can't be there, say no. If you're going to be there and you say yes, be there and say yes. Amen? Oh, I'll pray for you. Are you really going to do that? Well, of course. Oh, no, are you really going to pray? Well, okay, then don't pray. Don't tell me you're going to pray. Amen? Pastor, you're just a little wired today. Yeah, I am. It's been a long day. It's been an interesting day. But I look at it like this. I'd rather someone say to me, you know what, I really want to pray, but to be honest with you, I'm probably not. And I'd be like, okay, I accept that. Then to sit there and think, well, thank God so-and-so is praying for me. So-and-so ain't praying for you. They're over there eating chips and nachos over there in the corner, binge watching some show. They're not praying for you. They haven't prayed for me from the moment that they said they were going to pray for you. So don't be dependent on them to pray for you because they lied. They didn't lie. They just meant well. Commit. If you say you're going to pray, pray. You know what I'm saying? See, what I'm trying to do, I want to shock you into the idea of what is my commitment? What does my level of commitment really look like? And how I follow God, how I'm committed to the things in my life, my family, my marriage, my commitments, my job, whatever. How do we value those commitments and say, well, nobody else? We're not talking about nobody else. We're talking about you. We're talking about me. We're talking about people that say that we serve God. That we represent the God of the universe. That we call ourselves Christ followers. What does that look like? Is that just when we feel good? Just when it's convenient? And listen, and we'll get in a little bit further than this. I had all great expectations. I got through my introduction first service, so this is my introduction for what we're going to do next week. It's becoming a trend. But anyways, I'm so passionate about the understanding of commitment in our life. And I'm not saying this it's not a condemnation thing. It's just the thing of, I want to challenge you to reevaluate your commitments and what you say. And sometimes that means that there's going to be some things you're going to have to say no to. Amen? And the things you say yes to reevaluate, how are you committed to those? And define that commitment so that you know what that commitment is, so that you don't give unmet expectations to somebody. Amen? So anyways, so when we talk about commitment involves dedicating yourselves to something, like a person or a cause. Marriage, when Leslie and I stood up here and we made that decision and we said, I do, it was a commitment. And that part of that commitment was this. Part of the commitment meant that it's not just, I need you to fix her. It's like, God, what do I need to fix in me? Because a lot of times when we talk about commitment and things like that, we're always expecting other people to change, other people to fix things in their life as part of this commitment. But the reality is that when I'm committing to follow Jesus, that means that there's going to be times he's going to turn around and say, hey, you know what? You need to get that thing in your life fixed right now. We need to address something right now. Oh, no, I didn't sign up. This wasn't the kind of commitment I signed up for. This is not changing me. I'm just committed to follow you until it's convenient. No, commitment is also being willing to make changes in my life if those changes need to be made. That's part of commitment. See, nothing great is built by being half committed. I'm committed to this. I'm committed to seeing this through. I'm committed to walk in this. I'm committed to move forward in this. And as a marriage, when we made this commitment, there's things that I had to change. I had to learn how to communicate better. I thought I was communicating, but I wasn't communicating. And the day that she looked at me and she said, hey, do you love me? And in my mind, I'm like, you're crazy. Are you kidding me? Like, why are you asking me this? Don't you? And I'm thinking, I did kind of verbalize some of it, but in my head was a whole different conversation also going on too. Anyone ever had that? Sometimes it's better that you just keep it in here. Amen? I've made the mistake too where I've actually verbalized it. That's called the doghouse, okay? But There's a conversation that's going in my head. I'm thinking, are you ridiculous? Like, why would you say that? Of course you know I love you. Of course I do all this stuff for you. I do this, I do that. I'm running as I'm sitting there looking perplexed at her, all this stuff is running through my head. And I remember saying, why would you think that I don't love you? Are you kidding me? And when she looked at me and she said, I mentioned this a number of weeks ago, but she goes, then tell me that you love me. Because I need to hear that you love me, not just for you to do things to show me that you. And I said, well, I'm a doer. She goes, I understand that. That's how you show your affection, by what you do for people. I understand that. That's what you do. But I need to hear it for me, because for me to know it, for me to understand it, for me to grasp that you love me, it's more than just what you do. I need to hear it come out of your mouth. And I need to get it in my head and get it in my heart. Because she says, if I don't, then all this other stuff that's bombarding me is telling me that you really don't love me. You're just doing, it's a job for you. She didn't want she didn't want to be in a marriage that was a job. And so we had to have a conversation explaining, I'm doing what I do. I'm expressing how I love you. I'm a doer. That's part of my love language. It comes out that way. I'll do things for people. I'll just do it, and pass out on the floor, because that's what I do, I mean, not literally pass out on the floor, but that's because that's I do. But I had to learn that I needed to speak another language. I needed to be able to speak in a way that she understood what I was saying, that she not only see it but also do it. So I had to learn. So for me, saying that I was committed to my marriage meant that I had to make a change in my life. It wasn't, well, you know what? You need to get your act together and figure out that I'm doing this because I love you, so, stop all this stupidity of me having to say stuff because, I'm not a talker, I just do. No, I had to realize that, there's a two-way street. We're committed. Amen? Does that make sense? So I had to change. I had to be willing to change. When we bring it into our relationship with Jesus and we're following Him, there's a point that we have to understand that sometimes it gets uncomfortable because there's some things that need to change in us. And things aren't moving ahead because He's waiting on you to change. He's waiting on you to grow. He's waiting on me to grow. He's waiting on me to change. And it's like He's not going to take you somewhere you can't go if you're not ready to go there. I mean, would you take a high school graduate, unless there were some over-the-top reasons why? Well, I don't think you ever would. You would never take a high school graduate, no matter how much talent and ability and things they may have, and put them as the head of Apple. Right? I don't care how smart they are. They haven't grown to be able to understand how to deal with people, how to deal with criticism, how to deal with all the demands. You couldn't do that because the company would fall apart. Right? And there's things that God wants to do in you, and He can't lead you there until we grow at certain things in our life. There's certain things that He is building, developing within our life. Honestly, for us as a church, being at 3 services, and when we did this, we could never have started to go and just started out with 3 services, because it's a whole lot more work. There's a lot that goes into 3 services. A lot of people, a lot of training, a lot of things that take place for this to happen. For 3 services on a Sunday, it was a whole lot easier at one. I'll tell you, 50 people in 1 service was a whole lot easier. A lot less stress, a lot less criticism. Amen? Not that it happens a lot, but it's there, okay? A lot less trying to get people to help. There's a lot less money. Amen? We grew. We had to pay for, bigger septic systems. We had to dig things up and put bigger. Now we got to do it again. We had problems last week. And I told Warren we were talking about before, because I'm praying for whenever the new building comes I said I'm praying for pipes that we could flush an elephant down those toilets. Okay? Because for some reason people love to flush things that don't belong down toilets, and it clogs it all up for everybody else. And said, so I said, I don't know if they can make pipes that big coming out of the church, but we're going to try for it, okay? Because we need that. It's a lot more responsibilities. It's if you want to grow in God, there's going to be more requirement out of you. Are you committed to be able to do that growth? It's not a negative thing. So people look at commitment many times as negative because they're not willing to pay the cost of commitment. Why? Because they're focused on the cost instead of the benefits that it provides and the attributes that are built within your life. See, commitment builds things within you. Commitment builds in your life. It establishes things in your life. When you take a commitment and you're stepping out into areas that you've never stepped before and you're committed to do it, but you don't know what to do, it's going to build something in your life. Man, I feel like every step that we've taken as a ministry community, myself personally is growing. I've had to step out, which will look like, Peter stepping out on the water. I'm like, this looks impossible. Am I going to sink or is it going to be solid? And Jesus is like, come on, you got this. I'm like, okay. Because I have to have faith. But see, when I step out in the commitment, then he builds things within my life. He establishes things within my life and enables me to take the steps into areas that I don't know where to walk and how to walk. Because commitment is an attribute from God. We have a covenant commitment with God. When God comes to Abraham and he says, Abraham, or Abram, he says, I'm going to change your name to Abraham. And I'm going to call you father of many nations. I know you don't have any kids, but you are going to have kids. In fact, you're going to have so many kids and so many offsprings that if you look up at the sky above you right now, you see all those stars, that you can't number those stars. That's how innumerable your descendants will be. And the sand that you're walking on right now, you see all those grains of sand? He says there's so many, you can't count how many grains of sand there are, but that's how innumerable your descendants will be. If you come into covenant with me, into an agreement, into a commitment with me. Every commitment is two sides. I'm committing, and there's a commitment that comes back to it. When you go to a job, you want to know, I'm committing to work at this place. What are they going to commit to pay me? What are they going to commit to train me? What are they going to commit to help me also? And there needs to be an equal commitment that goes back and forth. Amen? So anyways, commitment is an attribute from God. He is committed, as we see from Scripture, to completing the work that he started within your life. And commitments are vital in life. Because if commitments build, if we don't have commitments, we don't grow. Commitments challenge you. They grow you. When you step out of your comfort zone and commit to something, and when I say commit, I'm not talking this half-hearted kind of nonsense. I'm talking about that I'm committed to step out and give my all in this. Give what level of commitment I promised to this, that's what I'm going to give to this. And when I do that, it changes you. It changes my life. It changes your life when we do that. When we're committed to integrity, it's a challenge because there's always going to be things that are going to come up that would be easier not to live with integrity than it is to live with integrity. Right? There's going to be areas that you're going to say, man, it'd be easy to cheat this corner right here. But you know what? It's not worth it. Because you cheat it now, it always comes back later. It's called seed. Sowing and reaping. Amen? Commitment builds. Great things only happen by great commitments. Great families only happen because of great commitments to that family. Great marriages only happen because of great commitments that are put within there. Well, Pastor, I know someone that did that and it failed. Listen, I'd rather try and fail. I'd rather give it all and fail than sit back and just let it fall apart every time and not do anything. To me, that just makes more sense. Because I know this, that you know what? I'm going to step in there. I'm going to pour something of all myself into something, and it's going to grow. It's going to be fruitful. It's going to multiply. It's going to be good. And there will be things along the way that may not happen that way, but I know that as I keep committing, it's going to happen. Amen? You're with me. Do you understand? So commitment is vital to our life. It builds great marriages. It builds great businesses. You can't have a great business without great commitment. It's not going to work. Great churches are not built by just hoping that happens. You've got to train people. You've got to build people. You've got to be able to I'm getting ahead of myself, but we move forward in those things. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9 is what we're going to look at here. And so Paul is talking here to the church at Corinth, and look what he says. He says, and the concept of this, that God is a committed builder. That's who God is. He's a committed builder. You have to understand that. Because he's committed to build things in your life. He's committed to you being fruitful in your life. He's a committed builder. I need to understand that. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9, it says this. We are co-workers with God. Let's just stop there for a second. Co-workers, what does that mean? Co-workers means that both people are doing work, right? You ever co-worked with someone that watched while you worked? It's so annoying. And they like to throw in directions along the way as they got their feet up, just relaxing. Like, you know what? You need to get up off your rear end and get over here and help do this if you got such great, brilliant ideas. Amen? Come on. That's a hallelujah point right there. You know. And so, you know, co-workers means that both parties are working in some capacity. It may be in different ways, but both contributing equal and sometimes even more, but both are contributing to the goal. Make sense? So what Paul is saying, that God and me, and you and God, are co-laborers, co-workers together. You're in this together. That he's committed to you, you're committed to him. When I say I'm committed to him, he's committed to you. You understand? There's both of us. And so with God, you are God's, so we are co-workers with God, and you are God's cultivated garden. I don't know if anyone has maybe your garden is ShopRite. That's okay too. But if you have a garden, you understand what even if it's a little, this year, our garden was, I had a pot that we bought, put it on our deck, and I put a tomato plant in there that the squirrels kept eating, and it was like cherry tomatoes or whatever, and they kept stealing. So thank God some people here gave us some tomatoes, hallelujah, because I fed the squirrel population. We need to remedy that thing, but anyways, we're not going to discuss that this morning. But anyways, I digress, sorry. We are God's cultivated garden. What does it mean to have a garden? With the garden, you got to break up the soil. So if I understand this is God's part, so if I'm God's garden, then what he's saying is that he's giving a picture. He's not saying that you're an actual garden. Paul is giving a picture of what it meant in an agricultural society, what a garden is. You got to break up some soil because, you know, when we're committed to him, he's got to break some things up in your life because I don't know about you, but I can be a little hard-headed with some stuff sometimes. And over the years, I've had the Fred ways that needed to break up and become God ways. Amen? I'll throw myself out there. I'm sure some of you could agree. I guarantee you come into a relationship with God, there's going to be something you're going to butt heads with, and he's going to say, listen, we can't go any further until we break this up. It's either going to be his way or your way, and his way always works out a whole lot better because he sees tomorrow. You can't. It's like if we want to walk this path, we've got to deal with this right now. And so, like a garden, he's got to break up the ground. And then his word gets sown like a seed into our life, and his seed always produces fruit. It always comes back and produces a harvest, which is the goal. We're called to be fruitful. But to be fruitful, you got to break up the ground. There's some things that have to break up in our life, in our mindset, our thinking, our attitudes, and things. Well, everybody else. This is not everybody else. This is you and God. Be honest with you, when I made the decision to become a pastor, there's a lot of things I was like, there's other people that I know. And it's like, it's not about them. It's about you. Who are you going to be? Are you going to follow me? And for me and what we're doing together, Fred, you got to change this. You got to deal with this. You got to break this up. You got to get the seed of God's word in your life so that we can grow something new, a new Fred, a new person, so that we can do what I'm calling you to do, what God was calling you to do. And so it required breaking that up. Weeding, because weeds grow like crazy. There's always something trying to distract you, always something trying to choke out God's word in your life, to keep you distracted, to take you off the side, to stop what God is trying to do. Sometimes it's guilt, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's, whatever, all kind of different things that we go through, always trying to tell you that you're no good, you're unworthy, and there's no way it's going to change. We got to know God is committed to cleaning out and fixing our life and growing those things in our life. And he says that because you are God's cultivated garden, the house he is building. The house. Again, a word picture. But think about a house. We have actually 3 houses around us that they've been tearing down, the process of tearing down and rebuilding. And, they take a tiny little house and they build this mega thing. They squeeze in every ounce of the land, which is insane. So they build a hotel 2 doors over. At least it looks like a hotel from my side. I'm like, really? Could you make it any? Well, I think it's too small. You should have made it a lot more bigger than it already is, Anyways, so they tore down this house, and this thing seems like it has been taken forever. And, it was like last year they started. It seemed like 2 years. I don't know, maybe not. But they just finally put it on the market. And anyways, but they had the foundation, and the foundation's built. And you know what the foundation was like? It was a foundation, and everywhere else, they had the walls up and whatever they were doing. The whole thing was like a big bathtub, like a big mud pit. That they were always pumping, every time it rained, they're pumping the muddy water out right down the street, all in front of my house. So every time you get out of the car, you step on the muddy water and stuff like that. It was just nonstop, always pumping out. And it's just like, when is this thing going to be done? Just put a lid on it already. Okay, come on. I don't care what it looks like. Just slap a lid on top of that thing. Stop the rain from coming in. I don't know what the situation was, but they could not go to the next level till they had made sure that the foundation was secure and properly built. Because no matter how pretty the house was going to be on top, if the foundation was wrong, if the foundation needed to be corrected, if the dirt needed to settle for a while before they put the rest of this monster on top of it, I mean, the house, they were building on top of it. You can tell there's a little issue there. I'll pray about it later, but let me get through this message. Anyways, they had to put this thing on top of it. Is that what happened was they couldn't do that because they had to make sure the foundation is right. That the inspector came, checked off, the code, everything is right. Everything had to be done. Because if you cut that corner, and 10 years down the road, you're sitting there and you start looking at your drapes one day and you realize they're kind of leaning in one direction because one half of your house is sinking on that side. There's a problem. And sometimes we want to rush God along. We don't understand why things aren't moving. Maybe because he's trying to get your foundation fixed and get it secure so that we build something that's bigger on it so that it will stay for the longevity of the course, not get halfway through and bank out to the side. He's working and building in our life. And so I have to have the patience and the ability to allow him to break up the fallow ground in my heart, my mind, so that he can move past some of those stupid idiosyncrasies and issues and hang-ups that we have so he can do something bigger. Because you can't take those where he wants you to go. It just doesn't work. And so you're his building. And so in each level, it's like this. Each level he has to build little by little. And everything has to, the plumbing and all the different things, all those things come together. We want to throw the pictures on the wall, but you got to make sure that the plumbing's right. And the electric is right. And the foundation is right. He's building it. I've got to trust. My part is to trust that he is going to do what he needs to do. Can I commit to trusting him to do that? And so the next part is this, and we've got to wrap this up. The next part is this. Verse 10. First part is God. The second part is God has given me. Paul is acknowledging what God has given him. I think that we need to make it a point to acknowledge the gifts that God has placed in our life. I don't know about you, but I've said this before, outside of anxiety issues I've had to deal with on and off, but the insecurity, as a kid just growing up, and I just was never very secure in just whatever, very intimidated. That's why when I sit there and talk about the fact that me standing up here in a public forum speaking is, you told me that, when I was like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, I'd been like, you're crazy. There's absolutely no way I would do that. Because I would never see myself do that. And, to understand the fact and thinking that I don't have any, what gifts do I have? I don't have any gifts to do that. But the reality is, he says here, God has given me unique gifts. You need to acknowledge, whether you see them or not, that God has given you unique gifts. Unique, what does that mean? It's not copycats. It's not like cookie cutters. There's things that he has put in you that is not in the people that you're sitting right next to. Can you imagine how boring it would be if everybody was like you or like me? It'd be good for a while. And sometimes you think, I wish everybody thought like me. No, it would drive you nuts, right? Later down the road. A little easier sometimes maybe, but it's like the variety of personalities and gifts and talents and abilities it's which makes us who we are. It makes it tolerable. Amen? Anyways, I need to acknowledge, you need to acknowledge that God has put, see, because most Christians say, oh, no, it's for you, it's for this person, it's for that person, not for me. No, he's placed unique gifts in you. Paul's acknowledging, God has given me unique things that are different from other people. He's called me to do something that not everybody can do. You have something, I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you that if you step out in your commitment with him and say, God, I'm committed, allow him to grow, you will begin to see and tap into unique things in your life to be able to see God move and minister in those things. For so many times, so many years, I have struggled and felt like so inadequate to be able to do what I do. I look at other people, and I remember this was about a few months ago. I was listening to a book by Stephen Furtick. I don't even remember the name of it. And in the middle of the book, he was talking about And if you don't know who he is, if you don't know, he's pretty much, anyways, he's all over. Church is huge and all kind of things, and lots of in the South and stuff like that. But anyways, and he's a very gifted speaker. Whether you like him or not doesn't make any difference. He's still a gifted speaker, and he's doing what God has called him to do. Can I just throw a 2-second thing in there? It always irritates me when people say, well, I don't like that person. Because they don't like them and like their style, they throw them out. Say, well, that's not God, whatever. You do know that God uses all of us. Amen? And that not every person, there's some people that, there's some pastors and speakers that you listen to them, well, they're just so like this and they're so like that. Maybe that person's just an encourager. I don't know about you, I need an encourager. And there's some pastors, and that you listen to them and say, well, they just seem like they're just always being nice and smiling all the time and encouraging all the time. It's because they're an encourager. That's their unique gift. Amen? It's like, hello, not everybody's like you. Get it done, blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's you, and that's okay. There's a place for that. And there are people that have that gift, and that's good. But we need all the body of Christ and all those talents and all those abilities to reach out to people. Another thing my dad taught me, you never criticize someone that's doing something for God, whether you like them or not. If they're wrong, you pray for them and let God fix the situation, but God's going to use their talents and abilities with what's unique to them. Paul had unique talents and abilities. See, so I'm not going to criticize, if I don't like a specific speaker or how they operate or how they do, I'm not going to you're not going to see me criticize them. Well, Pastor, I don't agree. Okay, that's fine, but I'm not going to criticize them because they're using their gifts and talent. And if something's wrong, God, trust me, God takes care of those things. He's big enough to deal with that. Amen? Okay, let me stay on track because we really got to close this out. Anyways. This is still my introduction, so I'm just trying to get this done. So, anyways, I'm not lying, it seriously is. So, God has given me unique gifts. I need to identify those. And then he says, as a skilled master builder who lays a foundation. How can Paul call himself a skilled master builder? Because he's committed to something. Because of his commitment, it's enabled him to be skilled at what he's doing. He's worked, he's been committed to building those gifts and talents. For me, like I was saying, I was listening to this book. Some of you are wondering, when's he going to finish that story? I'm going to finish it right now. So I was listening to this story, and this book by Stephen Furtick, and in there, he talked about how that there's so many times he stands up to speak, and he's intimidated, and he feels like he's not equipped to do what he's doing. I'm thinking, you seem like you don't have any ego problems. Appreciate the guy. He's saying, you look very confident, right? Seem like you got it all together. You're a great speaker, all those things. But to hear someone say that, I was like, yes. Not yes because he was wrong, but yes because the affirmation that no matter how much it looks like we have it all together, none of us have it together. We're all dealing. We're all growing. We're still, no matter what level you think a person's at and they have it all together, they're still struggling and still every day holding fast to that commitment that they made when all hell is trying to say, no, step back away, leave it, drop it, don't go forward. Amen? Paul says, I'm a skilled master builder. Why? And so that he can lay a good foundation. That's because of his commitment. He's committed. And he says, I press toward the mark. Another portion in the New Testament, he says, I'm committed to lay hold of that for which Christ Jesus has laid hold of me. He says, that's my commitment. Okay, let's go on. Afterward, another craftsman comes and builds on it. So he says, he understands, I'm not the only one. For us to grow as a church, as a pastor, I had to realize that I didn't know how to do everything. That was one of the biggest challenges that we went through there at the beginning when we started growing, was everybody said, well, you're the pastor, I need to talk to you. When Leslie was alive, when we used to do counseling, I was like, I've done it on and off now, but I was like, it's like, you really don't want to talk to me because I'm not really that good at it. I can work my way through it, and I'm totally leaning on the Holy Spirit for wisdom in that. But she was really good. She was a great counselor. She studied it, psychology, all these different things. So she had to listen to the Holy Spirit, and she followed it. So she was really good. And then we'd go do that together, and then I would just wrap it all up, and oh, Pastor, thank you so much. What you said was so great. And she's like, it wasn't an ego trip for her. I was like, honey, we're just using our gifts. I'm encouraging. You're telling them, you got to do this, get this, stop acting like this, stop whining, pick up the tissues, blow your nose, let's move on. We got this, you got this, we got it. And I'm just like, oh, it's so good, you're doing so good. Hallelujah, bless God. So we were a duo with that. But I had to learn that, There's things I'm not that good at. And I had to make sure that my ego didn't get in line to say, you know what, here, I'm good at this unique gift, but you have this gift. Here, come alongside of me, and let's be able to reach people in a greater way because you can do things I can't do. See, if you're trying to get everything that you need out of one person, I'll use in a pastoral sense like this, I'm not super pastor. There's no super pastors out there. You're more effective when you are willing to reach out and let other people utilize their unique gift that they're really good at that you don't have. See, I would be doing, I can't think of the word now. Oh, I had it the first service. An injustice to somebody to try to help them because I'm trying to save my ego to look really good when there's a person right here that knows better than me how to take care of that. Right? That would be wrong. And so, as a ministry, we begin to structure that. I begin to say, you know what? I want to pull people, men and women around me that have talent and ability to do things in a better way. And to be honest with you, I can do it in that, but this person's really an expert at this. You need to talk to them because they can really help you. It's not me pushing it off on them. It's them saying that they really know what they're doing and they're going to make a difference. They can help you more than you could ever imagine. Does that make sense? For us, we have to understand God's going to bring people in your life to help you, empower you to do what he's called you to do. A skilled master builder, a builder doesn't build a house by himself or by herself. They utilize skilled carpenters to do other things. Amen? McCarthy, you can't build anything by yourself. You've got people that help do it. As talented as you are, there's no way that you can do everything. And so you reach out to people that have those skills, and God will bring those people to your life, into your life. Amen? Okay, I'm almost done. Seriously, this is because we're already out of time. So now we're just enjoying the moment together. Amen. Afterward, God brings other people. So builders listen, I'll close with this. So builders beware. Who's the builders? We are. You're the builder. I'm the builder. Builders beware. Let every builder do his work carefully or her work carefully. According to God's what? Standards. God's standards. We're going to pick this up next week. Whose standards are we building our life on? Our standards or God's standards? Would you stand with me? Let's just pray. Father, I thank you today. Lord, as we talked about this today and continue it next week, Father, let us just wrap that idea of commitment around our head this week and really ask that question, whose standards am I building my life on? Whose standards am I really raising up to be able to build in my family, in my marriage, my life, my job, my business, coworkers, everything that touches my life? What are the standards I'm using to build that? And who am I following? The plan. What plans am I following to build that? Father, today, let the Holy Spirit continue this message in our hearts this week, and as we just allow your word to challenge us to be true to our commitments and what commitment means in our lives so that we can truly follow you as committed followers of Christ. In Jesus' name, amen.